Alright, start stream. Okay, I'm here. We're doing the finale today. We're doing the real finale today. I don't know how different the quote quote real finale is gonna be from the one that we've already seen, but one of our lovely viewers came in and told us that there was a little bit of a difference after having gone to the Quantum Moon and talked to whoever that was. There we go. Apparently I can't talk and do any of that at the same time. So I was downstairs and I was watching Keith Ballard play this game, and it kind of made me jealous. I wanted to finish my own playthrough before, because I was curious, considering how this game has been kind of a earworm for me, or a brainworm, even though I've complained about it a lot. I don't want you to mistake that for hating the game, because you easily could. But I actually enjoyed the game very much, apart from those small things. Plus, I'm just a generally grumpy person. So I was really, because of that, I wanted to see what other people's impressions were. And my personal favorite Let's Player that played this was Keith. Jacksepticeye played it too, but he only played it for a little while. So I just was like, okay, I guess Keith is the best option that we have. Which there's nothing wrong with that. I like Keith. I think he's good. I think he's better than me. Are we recording? Yeah, we are. But I got a little bit jealous because I was like, well, I didn't really finish, you know? So I came back. And I was also briefly watching a couple of my own VODs just to see what the sound was like and how everything was looking on the VODs. I felt a little bit weird because, you know, when you watch it, you definitely don't like the sound of your own voice, and there was a lot going on with the audio that I was not aware of. For instance, the microphone, maybe if I turn it to face me a little bit more, because it's facing away somewhat. Quality was not what I was hoping as far as like audio and stuff. I mean, that's fine. The content's what really matters, but it also helps a lot if your quality is. I was kind of shocked at how quiet I sounded. That was the main thing that I was noticing. Obviously, I was like, my voice sounds weird, but that's kind of how everybody feels. Which is really strange because, you know, when I do these, I listen back to it and it sounds like I'm talking pretty quietly. sounds like I'm almost like almost lethargic, you know, which is not true. I'm actually projecting my voice quite a bit when I do these. I project my voice quite a bit. I've learned how to project my voice. Like I've done a number of different things in my life that sort of taught me that skill. But none of that comes across in the video. There are times where I can tell that I'm talking loud enough that, you know, the voice is filling the room, and like people outside of the room can probably hear me talking. You know, I'm not talking quietly. I'm projecting a lot. But my voice quality just sounded kind of horrible. And also just generally quiet. So I was kind of shocked by that, because that's really not representative of the experience that I'm having when I'm actually in the room talking. It's very different. And it's annoying because I actually think that, you know, sometimes I have a pretty good quality voice. I mean, pretty much everybody is kind of shocked at what their voice sounds like when they're not. When it's been recorded and played back, you know, usually they're kind of shocked by what it sounds like. But I actually do think I have a pretty good quality voice, depending on the day. You know, sometimes it's like the stars have to align. Sometimes I sound like I'm 6 years old, and sometimes I sound, you know, much better. Sometimes I have a very bassy quality to my voice. You know, it ranges a lot. My voice ranges a lot. I don't know why that is. It just does. But on the microphone, none of that was coming across. So I was like, I don't really know exactly why. I think the cheaper that a microphone is, and I'm not gonna dwell on this forever. We're just making a little bit of conversation before the game really kicks in. But the cheaper your microphone is, it seems like the worse it is at picking up those sounds. Okay. That didn't work. I actually don't know why that didn't work just then. This game just had to get one more good hit in. See, now I don't know if we have enough time. It's gonna make me stress one more time before we get to the end. Even though we've already done this before. It's gonna make us stress one more time. Stress us out. But yeah, if you ever have listened to a recording of your voice and hated it, you know, that's a universal experience. Also, it's very likely that microphone was not a good one-to-one representation of what your voice actually sounds like. Microphones are really bad, especially the cheaper ones are really bad. I'm gonna die of oxygen loss. Are you kidding me? Are very, very bad at picking up warm sounds. The more expensive the microphone is, the better it is at picking up those sounds, and also the better that your sort of recording environment. There's a reason why singers and people who do audiobooks and things like that use high quality equipment, and they do it in a soundproof room with acoustic tiles on everything. You know, there's a reason why they do that, because it's very easy to lose a lot of those more pleasing sounds. You know, the more pleasing tones that make up the quality of your voice are some of the first to be to go missing. Because microphones tend to pick up more high-pitched, nasally sorts of sounds. That's not to say that I don't have a high-pitched, nasally voice or anything. Why did that happen? Why did that just happen? Okay. There's so many things that can go wrong. Like the ship could be on Ember Twin instead. Why you gotta scare me with that music though, you know? Why you gotta do that? Why you gotta Pavlov me? Make me move fast. Make me fly fast. Anyway, it's a lot easier for microphones and just audio recording devices of any kind, including ears. Shoot. No! Oh, stupid. You just had to get me one more time, huh? I didn't even know he was there. What was I supposed to do? I was careening in the wrong direction. I had to stop. Elk choir? Excuse me? I like how this was made on... Did I understand that right? This was made on the Unity engine, and they were like, yeah, we'll put all of those people in. Look at all those people that donated. It said his nibs Duncan of Retriever. Is that a dog? Was that a dog? Did the dog donate? Notice how the amount of playtesters is strangely small. I mean, I don't want to throw shade or anything, but, well, go back and watch the rage moments of this playthrough. Some of the rage was earned. Like the game, I was raging just because the game was tough. Some of it, maybe not so much. Some of it is because the controls are very not my favorite. There's nothing that can really bring down a gaming experience like controls. Like, you want the controls to be exact. Like, you want the player, ideally, to be able to just, like, think. I still don't know the buttons. You want the player to be able to just think and then do it. You know, like the controls are a extension of them. There was very few points in this game where I felt like the controls were an extension of me. It felt more like I was wrestling a bull at a bar. What's it called? Bull riding machine is what the controls of this game feel like. I have to bend them to my will. See? Am I in the way? That's really important. No. So I guess we can discuss the plot or the story of this game. That might not be far enough away. I guess I'm interested to see what this new finale brings, because I can't really imagine how much it... I wonder if it's a big difference or if it's just like a subtle thing. Because as it stands right now, I'm not gonna lie, I feel like I feel a little like there's some loose ends maybe, but like I couldn't really tell you what specifically, but it feels a little bit like there might be some loose ends here and there. I feel like I still have a few questions, so I'm wondering if they're going to answer those or if you should figure them out on your own. I get the basic plot makes sense to me. You know, the Eye of the Universe brought the Nomai here, and then vanishes, and then on the way there, the Dark Bramble reaches out, grabs their ship, and they get stuck there. That was all clearly by design from the Eye of the Universe. The Eye of the Universe is sort of like a god figure in this game, or fate, or whatever you would call it. And so it's clear that that was by design, by the Eye of the Universe, who's like sort of this deity. I don't understand why sometimes I keep walking after I stop pressing. See? Oh, maybe it's just because it's gravity or something. So they were brought here by the Eye of the Universe, and then the Eye of the Universe purposefully allowed them to get snatched out of space by the Dark Bramble. And then... Wait, am I in the wrong place? They build their little civilization here. They needed that, they needed to be here long enough to build the civilization and to build that infrastructure. And then they obviously come up with this plan to find the Eye of the Universe that then they cannot complete themselves. And so they were killed off by the Eye of the Universe. Once they set everything up. Which I think that might be one of my biggest issues with the story, is that is such a cruel thing to do. Because they go well out of their way to establish the fact that the ghost matter is an extremely painful death. I think if they hadn't said that, I don't think it would have bothered me. But they go out of their way to say that ghost matter is what kills them all at the same time in a very sort of religious rapture, wrath of God kind of way. But they go well out of their way to say that it's extremely painful. Why would they do that? Why would the developers put that in? It just seems sort of needlessly cruel, especially since you spend almost the entire game becoming attached to these characters, right? It seems sort of needlessly cruel for the Eye of the Universe to kill them in the first place. He could have just invited them here later. He could have just invited them here 3 years before the sun exploded instead of, I think it was like 200,000 or something. So, why didn't the Eye of the Universe just do that? Is a big question that I have. Which, it's like, well, that's a plot hole. Don't go looking for plot holes, that kind of thing. Whoops. But that's one that definitely sticks in my craw a little bit. It was like, that's sort of needless. Don't get me attached to this ancient civilization and then have them all die a horrific death just because the Eye of the Universe needed it. It's like, why didn't if the Eye of the Universe is so all-knowing and so all-powerful or whatever, why did they have to die a painful death? There's no purpose to the painful part of it. Why would they put that in there? So that sort of, to me, unless there's, a good explanation for that, this is so dumb. And I'm gonna die of just... Jeez, man. So stupid. Have to wait. I might as well wait by the campfire for like 3 minutes or something like that and see if that gives me enough time. It's just like, dude. Oh, oops. It's right here. No, I didn't want to roast a marshmallow. So that, to me, having that be part of the story is like either that was kind of an oversight or it's kind of cruel to they're being a little bit too cruel to the audience. in my opinion. Because it's like you could have just left out the part where it was painful. But at the beginning of the game, they're like, no, super. It's the most painful thing that you can possibly endure, I think is what they said. And it's like, why? Is there an explanation for that? Because I feel like I need an explanation for that. Why would you make it so? What's the matter with you? You just seem like a megalomaniac when you write a story that way. So that's a problem with the story that I do have. Unless that can be explained to me. For the most part, though, I do think the story is very good. I just think there's a couple of little things here and there where I'm like, did you have to do that? You know. I felt like, and you know, maybe we'll get an explanation for that. Maybe we'll get an explanation. Like, no, it actually doesn't hurt when you're a Nomai. They don't have nerves. Or something weird like that, you know? But I guess we might get an explanation for that. So I'm sort of moving forward under the assumption that we are not going to get an explanation. The controls in this game still suck. I feel pretty comfortable saying that at this point. I don't feel guilty about saying it anymore. I did at first, though. That's just going to get carried away, isn't it? I'm going to have to start the loop over again, don't I? Won't I? It's such a strange... This game is such a strange mixed bag, because on one hand it's like the best game I've played in a long time. On the other hand, it's also way more infuriating than it needs to be. I feel like a lot of Let's Players hold back on that kind of stuff, you know? I watch a lot of Let's Players and I'm like, obviously this person is very upset. And, oh, he forgot to pass time. Oh, whatever, who cares? Oh, dang it. And, like, obviously this person is very upset. But they won't just, like, out of like respect, they won't just like come out and say like, hey, you know what, this is actually not cool. This is a part of the game that I felt like it was really uncool. Because it's like, you know, we're all human beings. Like, there's going to be a part of the game that, even in the best game, there's probably going to be stuff in it that you don't like. Or the best movie, you know, like, there's not a single movie, even my all-time favorite movies, like, I still have complaints about them. Like, actual complaints, not just, like, you know, nitpicks, but, like, actual complaints. There are things about my favorite movies that I don't like. We feel good? That was the sound of a scraping along the surface, in case you didn't know. It's funny the relationship that people have to games, in any form of media, just in general, but like the relationship that people have to games that frustrate them. Because I watch, one of my favorite channels just on YouTube is Game Grumps, and Aaron from Game Grumps is very much like me in that it's easy for him to find something about a game that he just like really hates, and people don't always get it. So I've identified with him and his struggles a lot, because I have that relationship with a lot of movies. Like, for instance, I thought Avengers Endgame sucked. I thought it was terrible, and people were just like, and I would tell people that I thought it was terrible, and they would look at me like I had horns on my head, like they were just like absolutely, completely flabbergasted as to why I would think that. And I am also just as flabbergasted as to how they can accept a movie like that, because I thought it was that bad. I mean, there's stuff in it that I did like. It wasn't all bad. There were definitely cool things, cool moments. There were cool moments, but I was very underwhelmed by it in general, because I was a big fan of Infinity War. I'm not a huge Marvel fan in general. I like the Marvel movies if they're good, but I think people are willing to they're definitely, the Marvel movies just in general are definitely lower quality movies than we should be watching, you know? Like, the biggest movies of 2020 and the biggest movies of 2017 and 2018 and 2019 and 2020 and 2021, you know, they should be better than Marvel. You know, not to say that Marvel itself is bad, because I don't think that. It's really the movies, with the exception of just like a couple here and there, like Infinity War. I don't even think I would care, honestly, if it wasn't for how good Infinity War was. Because I was like, wow, that was really good. It had action, it had cool characters, it had a cool villain, it had, you know, humor, it had comedy, it has emotion, it has stakes, like the drama is really heightened in that movie. And there's just like this existential dread that kind of follows the characters throughout the movie, or angst. You know, it's a 3-hour movie that feels like a 2-hour movie at most. You know, it's just, to me, I was like, wow, that's really impressive. That's impressive for a Marvel movie, and it's impressive for a blockbuster in, you know, whatever year that was. 2018, 2017. And it was the talk of the town for like a month after it came out, and it was awesome. Like, it was like, oh wow, like it's a good, just a good Marvel movie, like a genuinely good Marvel movie that I would rather watch than another movie. It's just like, it's rare. You know, because they're not particularly good, the Marvel movies. Like, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. They're not particularly good. They're kind of beyond the characters that everybody loves. You know, let's be honest. If it had anyone but Captain America and Thor and Chris Hemsworth, nobody would watch them. You know, it's the IP that people watch the movie for, because they want to see Iron Man, they want to see Captain America, they want to see Thor. You know, that kind of thing. If it wasn't for that, nobody would watch those movies because they're not good outside of the comics. You know, outside of the name recognition, it's like people who all they do is buy Gucci, and that's like, to them, it's like the height of fashion. It's just because of the brand. You know, it's the quality of the clothing has little to do with it so much as it's just the name recognition. It's just the brand. And so it's kind of like that a little bit. And that's not to say that I haven't, enjoyed going to see Marvel flicks. I've like I said, I liked Infinity War. I liked Black Panther. I liked a few of them, but not very many. And I've seen almost all of them. And at this point, I'm sick of them. I'm completely and totally sick of Marvel. So I guess I just wasn't really I was never really a fan. Like, I don't consider myself a Marvel fan. I'm a movie fan. And every movie is Marvel these days, so if you are going to be a movie fan, you have to watch Marvel movies, right? Because that's just how it is. That's the meta of movies. But, I'm not a big fan of the superhero genre. I'm not a big fan of Marvel. I liked the Batman movies. The Christopher Nolan ones, they were very good, especially The Dark Knight. I need to turn down the music. Music's too loud. Audio and language. Music's too loud. They have a lot of problems. Particularly 1 and 3. Particularly 3. Batman 3, The Dark Knight Rises, that one's got a lot of issues. There's a lot of... Christopher Nolan was kind of asleep at the wheel for that one. But he's also Christopher Nolan, so he's a genius. So, like, even the movie he was kind of asleep at the wheel for is still incredible in its own way. Better than like 98% of Marvel movies. And I'm aware of the fact that I'm gonna come across as like pretentious when I say that, and I feel like that's a problem with culture, because it's like I can't like complain. What? I can't complain about the Marvel movies without being called pretentious. It's not pretentious to want higher quality stuff. It's not pretentious to want more from movies. I have to pay to see them. I want to feel like I didn't waste my money, right? So I'm tired of Marvel movies getting a free pass because of their sort of name recognition and brand. And Avengers Endgame kind of represented a very big part of that, because it was kind of terrible, but it also made like $1 quadrillion, and everybody all said it was the best movie they've ever seen. And I'm just like, that's so, I feel a little bit like personally insulted. Well, I guess I probably shouldn't. You know, that's not very mature. It's not very mature to be like, oh, that's not. Just to, you know, take it personal. I mean, why would I take it personally? You know, it's not, has nothing to do with me, but. And I even watched it twice. I watched it twice to make sure that I didn't like it. Because the first time I was like, well, maybe it's just a fluke. Maybe it is actually good. But it's a fluke, you know? I was in a bad mood that day or something. And I watched it a second time and I was like, oh no, I like it even less now than I did before. Is what I thought. And it's, you know, it's not like I hate these movies, because I don't hate them. I just don't, I'm, you know, I'm meh about them at best. I just think they're very middle of the road. They're very, I would call them very mediocre for the most part. Ship fuel depleted? Exit ship to repair. Are you serious? That hasn't happened the whole game. I need you to come back. I need you to come back. Hey. This is dumb. I don't know why we're having so much trouble when we already did this once before. It's really frustrating, actually. Okay, so we got our... Do we actually have no more fuel at all? Like we're done? We're sitting... Oh yeah, we sure are. Stupid game, dude. You just had to... Why is it so much harder all of a sudden? We did fine last time. You are dead. We get to watch the credits again. I'm actually getting close to just giving up. Like, come on, we already beat this. Is it even worth it? I don't even know why. Why did we run out of fuel? We damaged the fuel boxes. I guess we just like bumped into something or something because of this stupid freaking controls. Anybody out there who's an aspiring game developer, please pay extra close attention to how much more frustrating this whole game is because of the controls. I mean, it's really, we've been playing this for how many hours now? Like 30 hours, and the controls don't feel any better. I'm still struggling with them. Like, I don't feel like I ever really we can skip this, can't we? The E button skips. it's funny whenever it's also kind of funny and also kind of pathetic the way that people defend Marvel movies, if I'm gonna be honest. Like I saw there was like a thread on the internet. I don't remember if it was Reddit or where it was, where people were complaining about people were like bashing Martin Scorsese. Martin Scorsese was like, yeah, they're like roller coasters, but movies. And people were like, you stupid. Yeah, they just went nuts. And I was like, you guys are pathetic. This is Martin Scorsese. You really think Martin Scorsese doesn't know anything about movies? He's Martin Scorsese. He was considered an auteur of film before Spielberg existed. You know, like that was, or around the time. You know, he's one of the oldest, like, still around. He knows more about film than anyone you've ever met or been within 30 miles of. And people were like, I can't believe he's so out. He's like, he's out of touch. He's old. And it was, he didn't even really say, he just said they're like roller they're not real movies. They're like roller coasters or whatever. And I was like, it was interesting because at the time I was like, yeah, I see why he would say that. And that's coming from someone who's like I'm not even a Scorsese fan. I don't even really like Scorsese movies. But when he said that, I was like, yeah. I mean, that's kind of there's not a lot of, there's not there's only a handful of Marvel movies that have anything real in them. You know, it's just like absolutely. Well, I have to urinate. I'll come back and finish that thought. Anyway, but they just like rushed to defend, and something similar happened with Denis Villeneuve, the guy who made the newest Dune. He said something. I think his was even less innocuous, even more innocuous. He was just like, yeah, maybe it's not my favorite thing, and people just like, ah! Just like absolutely. I think that was on Reddit. I think the first one was on like Instagram. At least that's where I saw it. People were trashing Scorsese on Instagram, and then people were trashing Denis Villeneuve. And they were just like, you guys don't know anything about cinema, you guys are idiots, you're pretentious, you're this, you're that. If my ship gets picked up, I'm going to cry. Well, it moved. Which is really strange because no one who's made a Marvel movie is anywhere near as talented as Scorsese or Denis Villeneuve. They're both incredible filmmakers, accepted as incredible by virtually anyone who actually is not an idiot. Like you're an idiot if you're saying that Scorsese and Denis Villeneuve don't know what they're talking about. You're just an idiot, you know? Like it's not. People say this kind of thing all the time. They're like, "Well, beauty is in the eye of the beholder," you know. People say that all the time when it comes to art, you know, because it's true, right? You know, obviously there's truth to that. But this goes beyond that. There is such a thing as poor taste. And I would describe poor taste, because I was thinking about this a while ago. Like, what's the difference between poor taste and different taste? You know, somebody has different taste than you, versus actually bad taste. And I would say that the way to tell the difference is that if someone tells you that McDonald's is the best food on the planet, if they're saying that because they only eat McDonald's, that's poor taste. If they're saying that McDonald's is the best food on the planet and they've tried everything else, that's different taste. Okay? I was a very picky eater growing up. I didn't eat much beyond just like fast food, you know, and I still kind of don't. I mean, I eat a lot more fast food than I should, and I'm well aware of that, but listen, I'm lazy and I don't want to cook things, you know? But I understand that, you know, even though I do like fast food and I don't apologize for liking it. Sometimes it's really horrible. It's not the best tasting food that you can get for your money, and I'm well aware of that. It's cheap. It's some of the best tasting food you're going to get for cheap, I'll tell you that much. So there's nothing wrong with liking Marvel movies, you know? I like some of them. I do. I genuinely like some of them. But if you say that Marvel movies are the best movies on the planet because they're the only movies you've seen, that's what it means to have bad taste. Because there's a lot of people that do that. They don't try new things. And so they say, you know, this is the best movie that's ever been made because they've seen like 3 movies ever, because they're scared to try new things. And that's what it means to have poor taste. Is, you know, if you've only seen 5 movies and 4 of those 5 movies are the best movies of all time according to you, you're definitely not, your palate is not developed enough for you to make that decision, make that choice. Because you just don't know what you're talking about. And when people defend the Marvel movies from someone like Scorsese and Villeneuve and in such a vicious way, it just comes across as trashy because of that. You're like, those people are actual experts in film that you're talking to. It's like when someone who doesn't want to take the vaccine because they Googled vaccines once, you know, and they say that straight to, like, they go to their doctor and they say it straight to their face. Like, I'm not gonna take the vaccine because I googled vaccines. It's kind of coming from the same uh, trashy sort of place, or maybe it's not trashy. Maybe that's not. That's a value. That's a value judgment, but it's inaccurate. You know. You don't have the authority to make those judgments, basically. You don't have the authority to argue with Martin Scorsese and Denis Villeneuve about what makes a good movie and what doesn't. You actually just don't. They know better than you do about that subject, and a lot of people. I think it's interesting that a lot of people will reject that on its face, especially Americans. There's something interesting that has happened in American culture, and I don't know if I don't know what it is exactly, where people are like, no, I'm always right about everything because my grandma said so. This really childish bend in American culture, where Americans just think they know everything, but they actually very much the opposite. They actually are complete morons most of the time. I don't know where that comes from, but it's a very deep and insidious part of American culture that I've noticed. And it sort of touches every facet of life in a lot of ways, politics and whatever. Do we have the vessel? No, we don't. I thought it happened automatically last time. So if you ever catch yourself arguing with Martin Scorsese about what makes a movie, what makes a movie, what doesn't, that kind of thing, maybe just catch yourself. I mean, sure, Martin Scorsese can make mistakes. He's a human being just like anybody else. He can make mistakes. He can say the wrong thing. He can fly off the handle, Of course. But don't act like he doesn't know what he's talking about. Because don't act like you know what you're talking about. Unless you actually do. And I think he said that after Avengers Endgame came out. So I would assume he's probably seen Avengers Endgame and was like, that wasn't super good. And I would very thoroughly agree with that. It's like, this movie did not deserve... I mean, he's Martin Scorsese. Of course he watched Avengers Endgame. It was the biggest movie of all time when it came out. Freaking shoot. I would imagine someone like Martin Scorsese would want to see an event like that. And if he was anything like me, he would have been extremely disappointed and confused, because that's how I felt. It was like, this movie is the... I guess I understand why people went to see it. Because, I mean, I wanted to know what happened next. Avengers Infinity War was so good, I wanted to know what happened next. But Avengers Endgame was like, reel it back, reel it back. Listen, we can't get too good at this. No. Reel it back. We gotta reel it back. Gotta reel back the quality. And again, you know, there was stuff in Avengers Endgame that I liked, but for the most part I found it extremely boring. It was just extremely boring and you know, mediocre is how I felt. But different people have different experiences. That's also true, and that's something that's important to keep in mind. But there was quite a few things in Avengers Endgame that I could point to that were very specific, like this is a rule, you know, this is a well-defined rule that you're typically not supposed to break in screenwriting or writing just in general that has been around for hundreds of years, you know, in the form of like novels, and you know, obviously screenwriting hasn't been around for hundreds of years, 100 years or so. But Avengers Endgame did break some very basic cardinal rules of storytelling that you are normally under no circumstances supposed to break, and they did a couple, and it's like, dude, and this was the biggest movie of all time. Not only that, but people are also defending it vehemently as if there's absolutely no possibility that there could be anything wrong with it. Just shows that like our culture has gotten really lazy when it comes to the screenwriting that we expect. It's not a problem if you found something good about Avengers Endgame. That's not what I'm saying. What is a problem is that you can't critique. You should be able to, part of being a mature person is being able to critique the media that you watch. Okay, what just happened? If you can't find anything, I can't do this. You know, if you can't find anything with that movie that you love that you don't like, you should probably look a little bit harder. You know, it's just like it's immature to expect even something that you love to be literally flawless. So, you know, anytime somebody is like, this is flawless, and they like mean it, you know, you can tell that they actually think it's flawless. It's probably not, you know. Because no piece of media is flawless. No piece of media is flawless. Oh! Was that okay? Okay, yeah. Look at it. It's the eye of the universe. But again, I just want to make it abundantly clear. I'm not saying that if you liked Avengers Endgame that you're stupid. I'm saying that if you don't think Martin Scorsese and Denis Villeneuve know what they're talking about and have opinions that also matter, even just as a human being, but especially as auteurs of film, then you're an idiot. You can say, I disagree. You can disagree. It's fine to disagree. But, you know, respectfully and constructively disagree. Not bash a 75-year-old auteur of film on Instagram or whatever, hashtag Avengers Endgame, hashtag this, hashtag that. It's just kind of narcissistic. It's like you actually don't really know what you're talking about, believe it or not. You're arguing with someone who owns a 5-star steak restaurant and runs and cooks the food in the 5-star steak restaurant, and telling them that Burger King is actually better and that they don't know what they're talking about. Just makes you look like an idiot. And again, that's coming from someone that I generally don't even really like Scorsese movies. I don't really see what other people get out of them. Speaking of not understanding, I don't understand what's happening here. But I also can tell that, Scorsese knows something about film, especially since he's been in the business for a very long time, and knows a little something about storytelling, because a lot of people really love those movies. Like I said, they personally don't do a ton for me, but what is this? What am I looking at here exactly? I think maybe it's just because I've never particularly loved like the gangster film genre. I think that might be the thing. I like how to put this? I like African American gangster stuff. I don't particularly like the Italian American mobster, mafia, that type of gangster stuff is less cool to me. Because there's something about it that's like weirdly, well, I'm not going to put a value on it. What did we do last time? Did we go in here? I guess that kind of movie stuff, that kind of movie making doesn't appeal to me as much. I just don't like movies where like there are couples arguing in New York accents. You know what I mean? There's just too many of those like gangster movies where, whoa. So far, nothing seems to have really changed. There's just too many gangster movies where, like, the husband is abusive to his wife, and the wife is just a liar, and really, wow, you lied to me! Just they just have those, like, really annoying voices, and they're constantly screaming at each other. And it's just like, I hate that stuff, dude. I think that might be the heart of it. I hate those archetypes. It makes me want to shoot myself. I really hate those kinds of movies. Jana Ross saying apartment 3D, you're nothing but a hoe. I hate that stuff. It's so obnoxious. Which is weird because, it's not the violence. Because I like violent movies. There's tons of stuff that I like that is extremely violent and has a lot of objectionable elements and that sort of thing. So it's not that. But for some reason, the way that those particular gangster films present the objectionable elements just really, I find it much more grating than than the others. Whoa. Like I said, I just don't really like movies where couples argue in general, but especially like the gangster type movies, because it's just there's so much there's an undercurrent of like misogyny in a lot of those movies that I don't like. That always seemed like it was really obvious to me. What am I doing here? I thought this worked last time. And I'm not saying that the people who made the movies are misogynistic necessarily. It's just that it's oftentimes it's clear that the characters. Oh, it's our old friend The Rock. The Spicy Rock. But the characters in the movies are almost always. I don't know what's happening. You guys as confused as me? I've done this before and I don't remember this. I don't remember this. Am I doing? Oh. Am I doing this right? You know, it's clear that the characters in the movies are, and a lot of the times you're kind of supposed to be, they're the character that you're, whoa, supposed to be identifying. I don't remember that at all. I think this is different. Are we gonna learn? Oh. Maybe that did happen last time. Asker! There you is. Hello, friend. Anyway, like I said, does anybody else just like hate movies or TV shows where it's just like nothing but couples screaming at each other the whole time? I really can't stand that. I don't know why that's a thing. It's like, break up already. I went through this entire game not knowing that you could zoom in. Isn't the whole point of being a couple is that you're supposed to like each other? Oh, sheesh. They're all pointing up at... I don't remember this either. I don't remember them being here. Whoa. Stop trying to freak me out. Let's get the other one first. Okay. I forgot about that. They wanted to make a horror movie. Or a horror game so bad. You can tell. which, you know, is fine. That's new. That's pretty. I like that. Pretty piano. Aw. That's weird, but also kind of cool. And I do not remember this. This did not happen last time. This absolutely did not happen last time. Uh-oh. I don't have our friend here to tell me what to do. Are we going to learn any new information? Whoa. Okay. I got the mask. You guys want a mask? Is there more of you than there should be? The quiet shade. Across old bark. I don't know what that means. In the ancient glade. I remember somebody wrote this. It's always dark. I don't know what it means. What do you think it means? What do you guys think it means? Ooh. Just had to put a little bit more zero gravity, huh? Just in case I forgot what it felt like to be alive. Oh, it's Solanam. Hello. Conscious observer has entered the eye. I wonder what happens now. You're seeing it. Is it time to find out? Not yet. What about these guys? Do they say anything different? No. It's cool that Solaris is our friend. Wait, what'd you say? There's only a handful of them seem to have any personality left. Oh, cool. Wow. Wah, 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 wah. Wah, 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 wah. Oh, this is delightful. I like this I like this better that Solaris Suriname is with us. I feel more of a connection to what's happening. What are those, what are we seeing here? I forgot about this part. I think we're supposed to go into it. Do my friends have anything to say? It's a little creepy how they are all just like, well, it's nice to be around a campfire. It makes me feel like they're not real, you know? So is everybody dead? I hope there are beasties in the next one. Well, at least he's optimistic that he's gonna survive. Let's find out together. I'm the one who has to go, though. Why am I the one who has to go? Oh. Well, I messed it up. Oh. It's amazing how we did this yesterday, and it's, like, new to me. I feel like I like it better this time, though. I feel like I know that everybody lives, kind of. Oh. Except for me, maybe. Like, I feel like this was a more optimistic... Something about Solanum being there. Solanum? And I don't think we talked to everybody last time. So it felt less emotional. The last time. It felt more emotional this time. More of an emotional connection. Wow, it's pretty cool. I feel like we never really got to bond with Esker, though. Like, we bonded with the one guy because he was super anxious about the supernova happening. So we kind of bonded with him because of that. And then we bonded with the one guy, the banjo guy, because he was scared of space. Although that wasn't super memorable. I felt the most connection with the guy who was having an anxiety attack because of the supernova. I feel like I felt the most connected to him. And then, obviously, Solanum as well, because we spent a lot of time with her. With, like, the tablets and all that. Little bit of a connection, and then there was a little bit of a connection with the guy who was looping with us. A little bit of a connection with him, and a little bit of a connection with the guy who crashed in Dark Bramble, because he was like, "I crashed here, and I'm living in a skull," you know, and I'm the best pilot ever. and he's there. He's been in a he's been stuck in a time thing, but he doesn't know it because he's been gone for like 10 years or something. I forget, but he thinks it's been like 10 days. So we kind of bonded with him too because of his story. I feel like I feel like we bonded with Esker the least. Although he was lonely. That's right. He was lonely. I think I kind of ignored Esker, to be honest, because he's like, I'm lonely, please talk to me, and I'm just like, okay, cool, and then just because that was the beginning of the game, and I still thought the aliens looked stupid. I still think the aliens look stupid. They look much cooler with their suits on. I feel more of an emotional connection to the ones with the spacesuits on, because they don't look stupid. Like I have a hard time connecting with Esker because he just looks like DreamWorks' first Alien movie. Is what I think when I see Esker. That's what I thought at the beginning of the game. I was like, wow, these aliens are really poorly designed. You know, is what I was thinking. Everything else in the game is really well designed, except for the aliens. They look really lame. Everything else except for the controls. So the aliens look stupid and the controls are horrible. But everything else in the game was really well designed. Story was really well designed. I still have a couple of hang-ups. But even the fact that I have hang-ups with the story shows that I paid attention, you know? Like, the game hooked me well enough for me to care about, you know, story detail, like really small details in the story. And that doesn't happen a lot. So, you know, it might seem like I'm kind of tearing this game apart a little bit, but that's not true. If I hated this game, I would have just stopped playing it after hour 2, and I wouldn't have any complaints about the game, because I would have just ignored it completely. So the fact that I have these sort of strong opinions is actually an indication that I cared enough to pay attention to the game. I also played it for like 35 hours or something like that. And I can't remember the last time I played a video game for 30 hours. I don't play games much at all anymore, which is probably why I had such a hard time with this one. I'm gonna be perfectly frank about that. 14.3 billion years later? 14.3 billion? So we're meant to understand that look at the planets. So I guess the planets are... The reason why this looks weird is because it's like, oh, it's a new universe, they have new laws of physics there. I think maybe that's what we're supposed to learn. Oh, look at those guys, they're different. So wait, did all of our friends die or not? Why is this game so bleak? Huh. Okay. Pretty much the same ending as before, but it felt different. It felt more optimistic this time. I think because we kind of spent a little bit more time talking to the people. I still would say that I felt more of a connection with the Nomai. So having it end with your like little hillbilly friends with the exception of Solanum, maybe wasn't the perfect decision. Because I definitely felt much more of an emotional connection playing this game with the Nomai, because we read about them, and we that's basically who we spend the game with, you know. So that's sort of a small critique that I do have. It's like I don't feel any closure there. I don't feel any closure with that, because it's like they died. You know, they died, and they died horribly, and we know what happened, but they didn't. You know, we didn't. We know that the Eye of the Universe decided to massacre them as a sacrifice, but they did not, and in my opinion, they didn't deserve that. You know, if a human came up to me and they were like, no, we have to massacre, we have to genocide this entire group of people, trust me, we need to, it's because we need to blow up the universe. It's really important. We need to blow up the universe. To me, that's like, I don't feel great. I don't feel great about that part. Obviously, we restarted the universe, so that's meant to feel optimistic. It's like we restarted the universe, and now there's new life, and it's like, still, you know, there's still a little bit of a nihilistic, sort of a nihilistic undercurrent to that part where, like, all of the Nomai died for the universe to start over again. It's like, if the Eye of the Universe is so powerful, why didn't it just save the stars? Why did it have to start over? Why did they have to hit reset? You know? Why'd they have to hit reset on the universe? If it's so powerful, then why didn't it just say, let's save the stars? You know? I have a problem with that. That's not sitting right with me. Also, it's a little, again, you know, the Nomai, we spend all that time bonding with them, and then we find out that they died horribly. And you're kind of hoping that the ending will make it better, and then it doesn't really. So that is something that I'm not. I mean, sure, it's real life, but this is also not. It doesn't feel particularly earned, because the tone of this game is not. Up until that moment, the tone of this game was not nihilistic. Sorry. The tone of the game was much more optimistic and, you know, lovey-dovey and sort of family-friendly and that sort of thing. Just sort of family-friendly fun and science. You know, deep space science that may or may not be super accurate. I don't know if there is such a thing as a quantum moon. You know, I don't know if that's even remotely possible. Maybe it is, and we just haven't found it. Found the math. We just haven't done the math. But I don't know about that. They did do a decent job of explaining it, though. It's like it's the Eye of the Universe. You know, it's older than the universe itself. There's a level of quantum uncertainty. Maybe it's just like spewing out quantum particles that are all being clustered together in a moon shape by gravity. You know, like, you can kind of work your way around that mentally, even if it's not 100% scientifically accurate. Like, you buy it. You know, when you suspend your disbelief, you can buy that. Um, so that's still cool. Duh, duh, duh. What else? It felt like maybe the dark. I didn't feel a lot of closure with Dark Bramble. I felt like there was more there to explore. I mean, I felt like it was pretty good. The fact that the vessel is in there and you have to explore it in order to find their mothership, that was pretty cool. But it felt like, considering that Dark Bramble was like this game's like first villain, you know, they sort of present the Dark Bramble as being the villain at the beginning of the game, because you go and one of the first places that you're sort of led to is that bramble seed on Timberhearth, and it looks like, oh, this is the villain of the game, basically, is this carnivorous plant that destroys planets. You know, that but then that kind of turns out to be a red herring when you see the supernova explode. Like, I really liked that. That was really good design. Because you think like, oh, the villain of this game is Dark Bramble. It's the plant monster thing out in space. It's the furthest away from the sun. You know, it has kind of a Bowser's Castle sort of feel to it, from its like symbolism and what it's very clearly like I'm evil symbolism behind it and everything. And it's destroying planets, and it's destroying your planet, and so it's a very effective red herring. So that part was really cool. And then your sort of expectation is subverted by the supernova. When the supernova goes off the first time, you're like, oh, that's the villain. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what we're trying. Okay. But then they never really go back and resolve the... I never felt like Dark Bramble was fully resolved. I still feel like we never got the chance to beat Dark Bramble. We beat the supernova, but we never got the chance to beat Dark Bramble. And even though Dark Bramble was sort of more of a red herring, I still feel like I wanted to beat it. I didn't just want to explore Dark Bramble. I wanted to kill the plant. You know, because it's destroying planets, and it's destroying my planet, and I still wanted to save Timberhearth from the bramble, even if the universe has to get restarted or whatever. I still feel like I needed to save them from that. And that never happened, and I feel like I didn't get enough closure with Dark Bramble, even though it's just one of the first things that you are introduced to in the story, and so I feel like I'm unfulfilled because I never really totally understood the deeper purpose of Dark Bramble. I mean, I guess you could say that the deeper purpose of Dark Bramble was that it was there to grab the ship out of the sky. Is the title falling apart and floating away? But it seemed like the other planets had more of a purpose. Like the purpose of Timberhearth was that sort of the meta purpose of it was that it was there to as like an incubator for our species. That's what the Eye of the Universe was using our planet for. And then, what about the twins? What was the purpose? The purpose of the comet was to kill them all off. We don't know where the comet came from. We thought maybe that it came from um, Dark Bramble, but we're not sure. Did we ever learn that for sure? Because that could maybe that could maybe answer that question of like what was the deeper purpose of Dark Bramble in the story? Is that it was what unleashed the ghost matter, I guess. That one's a little shaky. Maybe I missed something. It's actually very possible that I just missed something and I didn't explore everything 100% fully. We never did, we never found that giant blue thing in the Sunless City. We never found that. Because it seemed like there was... The game kept telling us that there was more to explore. I'm probably just going to Google it and see what that is. So maybe that is the explanation for what Dark Brambles sort of do. But like the Hourglass Twins, like they were there as a place to collect the energy, I guess. What am I doing? Outer Wilds. Sunless City. More to explore. Somebody else must have had this. Same problem. This says Virgin Owelk versus Chad Nomai. Spoiler. Science demands that we blow up the sun. What's an Owelk? Must be from like... Must be from a different game. It must be from maybe that's the sequel. Is there a sequel? Like what's an Owelk? I'm not getting any... Maybe I should type in quantum? Sunless City, quantum... Quaaludes! Quantum... It's not helping me. Outer Wilds guide. Let's just look at the guide. The full guide. Quantum Moon Locator? Oh, yeah. Skateboard 2, that's in the city. So the whole point of the Stepping Stone District, was it just to find the anglerfish room? Eye Shrine. Still not a while in the city. Blue shard. Am I wrong that that was a blue shard? There was this like giant, when we were in the tower on the Quantum Moon, there was this giant blue shard of rock. In the painting. And I'm like, I don't remember ever seeing that. That must have been something that we missed. But now I'm like, I can't, what? I can't, it's not real. Mysterious teleporting rock. If you happen to pull out your signal scope. Maybe it was blue back when the... Maybe that rock was blue when the Nomai... That's still the wrong shape. Okay, so maybe that wasn't a thing. Maybe that just didn't exist for some reason. We saw that giant thing, but maybe it never really existed. Or maybe it existed at a different point in time and by the time we got there it was gone. Anyway. But we never quite, like I said, we never quite, I never felt fully like, whoops, don't have my jetpack anymore. I never felt fully like we really wrung out all of the information about Dark Bramble that I wish we could. Like, I felt like we explored Giant's Deep fully. everything there felt... Am I dying? No. I was dying for some reason. Hello. It's been forever since anybody launched into space. What you talking about? Did they say why I was going? I feel like that could be important. I feel like all of this stuff is way more interesting now than it was at the beginning. At the beginning of the game, I was like, I don't care about these stupid alien hillbillies. Yeah, moon wine. I mean, like what? I couldn't care. This is a space exploration game. I couldn't care less about moon wine. Bucket of water? What are you talking about? What? Bucket of water to drink? Oh, to put out the... I'm an idiot. To put out the fire. I wasn't paying enough attention to that conversation. Why is everybody so much taller than me? This guy really wants to chop down... Oh wow, look at that. Hey, that's actually pretty cool. Never noticed that before. Cool tree. That tree has got to come. This one? Looks pretty good. It bothers me that I can't go into any of these people's houses. I want to go in their houses. We've been here already. We've been here already. This place is pretty. I appreciate it more now than I did at the beginning. At the beginning, I was like, I'm out of here, dude. I want to explore space. No hillbillies. How come I don't have an instrument? Also, at the same time, it makes me sad because it's like we killed these people. Like, the end of the story is that we blew up the universe. You're almost dead. You have no future. What? Alright, guess I'm not talking to those people. Tentacle? All I saw was jellyfish. Oh, maybe that's the coral? Corals kind of look like tentacles. Oh, you're the hide-and-seek kid. Wasting my time. What a beautiful day to kill all these people. Speak. Yeah, they very clearly demonstrate that it's supposed to be extremely painful. Like, what? Why did they make that part of the story? Like, that's kind of sick. It's kind of twisted. Why did they... They had to put that in there on purpose. Like, why did they go so far out of their way to say that it was painful? They could have just said it kills you. No, it's dangerous. It kills you. Why did they... That's so bizarre. That detail is so bizarre. It's like, screw you for getting attached to the ancient civilization. They all died horribly. I definitely don't feel like that was earned, you know? I feel a little played with, like my emotions have been played with. And it's like, that wasn't earned. Like, why? That's just weirdly twisted. I saw smoke coming from Young Bark Crater up north and figured I should go check it out and use the scout launcher. Just please don't break it. I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, that's the Dark Bramble Seat. Right. Have we looked at everything? Not you. Who are you? One of your eyes is missing. Has at least fixed the retro rockets. Maybe that's why, maybe that's why. We did that in our playthrough. For some reason, nothing. It wasn't important, I guess. Strangely, I don't have my jetpack. We never learned why when we die on Timberhearth to the supernova, it says that we broke the space-time continuum. At first I was a little bit confused because I was like, is Timberhearth separate from the timeline? But I didn't realize that, like, there's a very specific line of dialogue that says, you know, one of the Nomai says, like, yeah, if the equipment malfunctions, we could end up in a time loop and we wouldn't even know it. And so that's a very, like, obviously they were trying to explain, like, yeah, you know, the Timberhearthians have been in a time loop without knowing it, even though the supernova's gone off, you know, 9 million times or whatever, you know, the Timberhearthians. It doesn't entirely explain why I wake up and leave for space. I'm gonna need that explained to me. Why did the first, you know, 9 million of these happen, and then after 9 million or so, all of a sudden I woke up and left for space? Because that seemed... Am I wrong? That's something that they basically came out and said. I think that was on Giants Deep. That was the space probe module. The probe tracking module said that the probe had launched 9 million times. And it breaks every time it fires. So it's not firing more than one time. For some reason it fires automatically. Do we know why it fires automatically? I remember at one point we came to the conclusion that somebody must be manually firing it, but we never saw any evidence of that, so it seems like it was set up to automatically fire the probe cannon. There might have been a line of dialogue about it, but I don't remember. But it breaks, the cannon falls apart every time that it fires. You know? So, it can only fire once every loop. Not to mention, you know, it's firing automatically for some reason. I guess when the supernova goes off, it fires automatically. But since it falls apart, you know, the time loop needs to happen in order for it to fire again, because it falls apart every time it fires. If that makes sense. Or maybe it doesn't fall apart every time? I don't know. That feels like a loophole. Well, this is going to happen again. Or maybe not. Feldspar's been lost for a very long time, yeah. So he's been there, he has no idea that he's in a time paradox or whatever. Is there any particular reason why these aliens are supposed to be genderless? Because the Nomai are not genderless. There's he's and she's. Was that just like a flavor thing? They were just like, whatever. They're genderless. They're genderless, but they also all seem particularly male. What did that say? I think this is you read this and you think, oh, I should go to Adelrock. It's interesting that this game is considered like, oh, you can go anywhere and you can explore anything, but it also very clearly like leads you to Adelrock first, which is interesting because I know like a lot of people when they play this game they don't go there first, but we did, didn't we? I think so. It does? Shockingly fragile bone structure. Why is that important? That feels like it might be important. Yeah, they were horrifically killed by some kind of magic comet. Well, that's kind of interesting. Like, they've been using the Nomai technology to explore space. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been able to explore space. Yeah, we knew about that. We knew about that from the beginning, but we kind of like almost totally forgot, which is funny. Because we went like searching other places, and we were like, why can't I climb this wall? Like, just totally forgot. Oh. Oh, cool. There's pictures of stuff. This stuff has a lot more meaning now. Based on the moron's observations, we're all about to die. Yeah, I totally missed this the first time. Totally missed that. I'm just looking for information about... Oh, it's this guy. Like what exactly it was about my character that made me special, apart from just he has the translator. Like, why did the Eye of the Universe pick me? What's special about me, apart from he has the translator? That's pretty strange. Oh. That's interesting. Yeah, I don't remember what that information was. It seems like my little character should be special in some way, but I wasn't really. So yeah, you know, I just there's a couple things and I'm like, whoops, okay. Where I was like, what is it about my character that made my character special? It's a little bit unfulfilling to say like, oh well, he just was just like a random guy that happened to have the translator tool. I don't remember if they ever mentioned why it took them so long to develop a translation tool, because that's kind of the thing that like that's the reason why I was sent into space in the first place, was that I had the translator and that I was supposed to. I was the one who was going to really figure out what actually happened, because no one else had been able to translate their writings before. And that's been the main thing that's where the story of the game comes from, is from the writings, you know. So I was the one who was able to sort of put together the mystery of everything in time for the supernova, so that I could save everyone, I guess, even though I didn't really. I just restarted the universe over again. And I guess my impetus for doing that was to sort of save my culture and my people from the supernova, except it sort of seems like maybe that was a bait and switch, which isn't sitting super well with me, that the Eye of the Universe would bait and switch my character into attempting to into restarting the universe, hitting the reset button on the universe in order to save my people and save my culture and all that stuff. I kind of wish that maybe they hadn't left it open-ended like that. I guess you can make your own interpretation. They don't outright say that we died either, so you can kind of make your own interpretation there. Sometimes that sort of thing feels a little bit like a cop-out, though, where it's like, I would have preferred confirmation that everyone had survived, that my work was not for nothing. You know, I did all that work so that I could kill everyone. Is that what really happened? I wouldn't like that. I wouldn't like if that's where the story was going. I wouldn't like if that was their explanation of events. Like, oh, no, you blew up the universe because of, the Eye of the Universe made you think that you were trying to that you were going to save everybody, but actually it was just a selfish thing, which is, the Eye of the Universe killed off all of the Nomai in the name of hitting the reset button on the universe. So why not our species? Why not kill off our species for the same, the Eye of the Universe, if it does indeed have its own will, has been shown to behave in a calloused and selfish way by killing off the entirety of the Nomai. But so because of that, you would think, like, yeah, the Eye of the Universe is capable of that. So it would make more sense that we would all die when the universe resets, or we would cease to exist, or whatever. It seems unlikely that the Eye of the Universe would save our character and our little hillbilly culture. Which is like, well, no, I don't like that. I played this game so that I could save the solar system or whatever. That's kind of lame if everybody's dead at the end. Because of my actions. It's like I would have rather just let the supernova kill everyone, because at least it wasn't me who did it then, and it takes a lot of the sort of majestic intrigue away from the Eye of the Universe as a quote-quote character if the Eye of the Universe is willing to just kill everyone to start over the universe. So I feel like I'm unfulfilled in that way. Um, but for the most part, the story is really tightly packed. In that, there's sort of like a meaning for everything, except for those just like those couple things. All of the Nomai died, um, because a magic comet showed up and just wiped them out of existence. And the reasoning behind that is like, well, they needed to die so that the space stations could live on, so that I could explore the space stations and then set into motion the events that restart the universe. Otherwise, they would have changed everything and the universe would never have been saved. But if the eye of the universe is so all-knowing and so all-powerful, you could say, why didn't he invite them to the solar system, 3 years before the supernova, instead of 300,000 or whatever it was. I think it was like 200,000. I thought so. Or why didn't he just keep them around and motivate them to not change anything? It's just weird. Like, oh yeah, no, fate willed it that they had to all die in order so that we could find their civilization and piece together the mystery and do it ourselves. Like, it doesn't sit super right with me. Maybe there's more of an explanation, but I feel like that's not perfect. So, but I don't really know. Beyond that, I don't really know what to think of that so much. But anyway, I'm starting to get kind of dehydrated. So I'm going to go get some water, and I think that's the end of this stream. A little bit shorter today. But the game's over, so yeah, that, and also, again, I feel like I never got closure on why we woke up when we did in order to explore the universe. Because what's his name found the statue and then brought the statue back, and then we got connected to the statue and started that was what started our time loop. Which means that had to have happened, after 9 million supernovas went off. I guess maybe he did it, though, because he got attached to a statue. But how did he? I don't know, man. There's some loopholes in here that I feel like there's some. Maybe we're thinking about it a little bit too hard. I feel like there might be some plot holes, because if he found the first statue, are we meant to believe that he's just been looping for 10 million loops? Because he didn't really seem like that. He didn't say so, and you would say so. I've been looping 9 million times. And then he brought the statue, because I think he was the one who brought the statue. He was like, I've been looping. Because that makes sense that he would do that he would bring the statue, but I don't remember if he ever said why. So are we meant to believe that he's been looping 9 million times? I don't know. I'm done. I'm going to go relax now. See you guys later.